Hey everyone, Papercut here with a strategy breakdown for you Japanese heads out there. The other day I was watching a replay review and I watched a Japanese player go Temple of Equality, which might blow your mind because almost every Japanese player goes Floating Gate. And a lot of people kind of meme on Temple of Equality, either saying it's trash or that the issue is just the Floating Gate is just so good. But I saw this person use Temple of Equality and it hurt my interest. And after playing some customs practices with it and then playing an actual rank game with it, I think there's a legitimate strategy as a nice like curveball or switch up that people aren't expecting when you play Japan. I think it's something you should try. I think it has a lot of utility if used correctly. So the theory behind this strategy is that you are going to be using the temples and the monks that come out of it for passive gold generation and engaging fights in that are both better either defensively or offensively, but you have to do them in different ways. So for those of you who don't know what the Temple of Equality does, it allows you to produce Buddhist monks. And what they do is that you can get an upgrade that where every Buddhist monk produces 20 gold passively every 60 seconds. So you're getting passive gold with them. They also auto cast a debuff on enemy units that reduces their attack damage. We can get more into specifics when we get to that in this video. But the big payoff, and then if they're holding a relic and they Wololo, every unit within that Wololo that is an allied unit, including yours if you're in team games, allied units in team games, get a 20% damage buff. Now the big deal comes in Imp, where the temples themselves can cast that debuff, so you can place them, and it's a pretty big range, and it casts pretty quickly. And then you can get an upgrade that makes the Wololo do 20% attack damage and 20% movement speed, and they're debuffing the opponent's damage. And so if you use it correctly, you can take really good engagements that make your units both damage a lot, your opponent's not damaging as much, and then your units, your melee comp, your horsemen, your knights, your samurai, and your onas, with their movement speed can chase down the range units way better. So it's really interesting, it's really fun. So let's go into it. So I'm gonna kind of speed through the beginning part of this video because we want to get to the castle portion of it. But I did decide to go 2TC. Shout out to ELC, who I watched on a game against Mokomi do this 2TC opening. Usually people do this opening to get the TC upgrade, but with pro scouts being so prevalent, I think the 2TC for Japan can work if you place that TC on deer. So then you're eliminating a deer pack and you're getting your eco going. So some things I considered on this map is Lipany with all the berries means that losing deer isn't such a big deal because you can just feast on the berries if you get the Japanese upgrades for it. And if you get at least one deer pack, then your opponent getting 3, or if you can even deny the second deer pack somehow, your gray and your eco is getting better. Next, Malians, it's questionable if 2TC is great against Malians. They do the full cow boom. There's a timing where they can really punish you before your 2TC pays off, but if you live, it usually works out really well. The other thing I also considered is if I get a lot of monks and I'm getting passive gold creation, then I'm kind of matching their pit mines. So I'm getting passive gold creation from the monks, he's getting it from the pit mines. Now the issue is, of course, that my monks take pop space, but they also do cast a debuff, they also do heal. So there's a lot of things to consider within this and the interplay of it. So I'm checking to see if he's going to match my aggression. And how this 2TC works is basically once you age up, you just move the gold villagers under the stone. You put all your extra vills on wood. I see there's deer, gold, berries, another gold. Beautiful second TC spot, so I rush over and take it. He scouts the second TC and he decides just to rush his cow boom. So he's just going to cow boom, no units, very, very quickly. He does make one archery range. So what I do is to not just let him cow boom completely for free, I will build a stable and make 2 or 3 horsemen. The goal behind this is I wanted to just make it so he can't just sit on the gold and get gold for free. I mean, he is getting it passively, but mine gold for free and then have to make some units. And it does actually slow his age up a bit, which buys me some valuable time. But knowing that he's cow booming most likely, I start walling the sides. I'm going to completely deny this. He doesn't actually end up pro scouting, which is great for me, but I do just try to, as much as possible, deny this with walls, and Lipany spawns are always usually and gives you some great walling opportunity. So knowing that if he's either attacking me or he decides to fast castle with cows, there's a chance I get pushed really hard, so I want to make sure I wall to buy myself some time. So I'm getting both TCs pumping. I'm going way heavier on food. I do leave 5 to 6 on wood so that I can continuously add production as I'm aging up and get walls. Horseman comes in, starts poking, just pushing him off gold, delaying his age up, make him have to reconsider, get the TC upgrade for my main TC, and now I'm going to make a bannerman for more raiding. Let me tell you, the berries with Japan, just so good. Once you get the last upgrade for Fudasashi, I think it's how it's pronounced. Sorry if I'm wrong. It makes Japan gather berries as fast as they gather boar. which is actually crazy. So that gives such a huge eco boost on Lippany, which has extra berry packs. So here I go, rushing with Temple of Equality. Now the key is you need to grab some relics. You need to grab some relics to really maximize the point here. So this is also a fast castle opportunity. You could fast castle and grab the relics. It does make your fast castle more difficult because you're not getting the production speed that the floating gate is getting. But here's where the first consideration I had. The big bonus of floating gate, let's break down the options here. The big bonus of floating gate is that you get an immediate priest, and that priest can drop off a Yorishiro. Yorishiro can increase military building production speed. It can also increase the production speed of your TCs and also give you resources depending what you put in it. So that's great, right? And it is really good. I'm not even necessarily saying the Temple of Equality is better or even close to the floating gate, but I don't think it's as bad as people consider. One, if you get the upgrade, the Zen, 25 gold every 60 seconds, great. If you get Zen, then you're still getting that passive gold, or at least you're getting a passive gold resource. And if you run out of gold, then having a bunch of Buddhist monks is a way to like keep going. Two, with the reduction of the cost of barracks, you can get up a lot of barracks quickly. And even if you get a lot of production buildings, then the production speed of having your share in the military buildings is no longer that important. And last, if you put the Yorishiro in a TC, yes, you can only recreate that by adding another TC. But that's not too difficult, Japan, because you're getting passive stone anyway from mining gold. So my goal here is I want to get at least 2 to 3 relics. That'd be a really big deal for me. Pretty big for a guy like me. So I'm going to rush and try to get the relics. And we'll talk about the first kind of strategy you want to do with that. I get a couple villagers. I delay his age up a little bit. I see he's making a lot of Donzos. So I'm immediately going to go into Anabageisha and Mounted Samurai, the classic opening castle comp for Japan. Great counters. Ana's counter the spears. My Mounted Samurai can do a lot of damage once the Ana's engage, or run onto archers or javelin throwers. I'm grabbing the relics. And let's really break down what these can do. So if you click on a monk here, if you Wololos, 20% damage for 20 seconds. So that's the key thing here. Once you Wololos, your units, it doesn't just last while you Wololo happens, it happens 20 seconds after as well. So if you have 3 or 4 relics, you can hit it, they start fighting, you then run the next monk up, hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. Second, they auto-cast Sohei Sutra. Here's the thing, which reduce the damage by 50%, which the higher damage the opponent's unit is, the more this affects it. So like gunners going from like 40 damage to 20 damage, or hand cannoneers, similar, is huge. Knights losing half their damage is huge. And for example, testing this, if you're playing against like Ayyubid or Abbasid, you basically eliminate the debuff on your Cav by doing this Wololo power as well. One thing to keep in mind though is that if you want the monks to be mostly doing Sohei Sutra, you need to have them not be automatic healing, because if you have the monks moving in the fight, the monks will always defer to healing over applying the debuff. At least that's what it seemed like when it was happening. I haven't like tested it very closely. So if you care more about the debuff, turn off the healing, and then make sure you have your monks on a separate move command and have them basically A move at the enemy. And it's okay to sacrifice them. You just want them to be debuffing so you can win the fight and you can make more. Lastly, and I'm going to show you why, I think the early strategy should be to gather relics and put them in your Buddhist temples and your Temple of Equality, because you want that gold generation early. Only take them out if you're being pushed. So use them defensively. So your opponent's running at you, you can pop it, and then they kind of have to fight your units on your terms. The reason you want to be aggressive yet is that if you lose the relics in the center of the map and your opponent takes them, you lose that ability, which is the main part of it, right? So I'd save that pulling the relics and fighting in the middle of the map until Imp, when the upgrade is very, very, very good. Until now, let them produce the gold and then only pull them for defensive holds would be my suggestion. And you'll see why, because I almost lose them a couple times. I'm just lucky my opponent never actually steals them. So I'm just making units. I'm going to be aggressive early to help try to grab these relics. I'm getting the ones farther away first. I'm walling up still. I'm just making units. He sees my monk down here trying to grab it. He's going to deny. And right now I'm just holding them because this is my test game, so I wanted to try to do this as much as possible. I wasn't really too afraid about losing him. I'm right now rallying a lot to gold and stone because I really want to get my full TC upgrade. Because here's the thing, I know he's cow booming, so I know me getting my TC all the way up, as well as then getting the farm buff is going to be huge for me matching eco. So I'm really trying to get the stone so I can get my full upgrades to my TC. And I'm not trying to manually make farms yet because I still have a lot of berries and deer I can use. So I'm trying to put all my resources into just units and getting my TC upgrades. And of course, continuously making monks. The key here is that you can only have a max 4 temples because the temples later on can debuff. So they don't want you to spam them everywhere. So I only make 1 extra temple, and then the temples later on are going to be used to place on the map when I'm trying to take like really specific fights. And that's what makes the way to make this work well is that you have to be very specific with when you take a fight and how you take the fight. So he rushes imp, and I know I gotta push right now. I gotta go. So I'm going to start pushing. And also, quick note, if you ever have a macro imbalance like I do here with 700 wood, go ahead and just add farms, right? Or add more production. I wasn't macroing amazingly during this game because I was so focused on using these right. So the first mistake I make is, I think when engaging like this, always hit it first before you engage and then run in. Then have the next monk like hard walk into the middle of the fight and hit it again. And then have the third monk walk in, and you want extra monks so if they die, they can pick it up and run. And then basically once you hit it with the monk, run away. Like once this first one hits, send him back. Once the second one hits, send him back. So you're protecting the relics if the fight doesn't go well. So he walks in, and already I try to hit it here. Boom, I hit it. I don't get a lot of my units. Once again, my first time doing it. But if you look, my Annas, some of my Annas got it, increasing their damage. Did they get it? Oh, I might have missed them. Did any of my Cav get it? I think they did. No, they did for sure. Wait, do I have an Anna? I have a Katana Bearman. Then for sure, yeah, then for sure some of my Mounted Samurai got it because they have way more damage. Maybe did. I don't know. I think I missed. Yikes. But they're fighting. And I tried to do it, but this is one of my first failed attempts, right? He rushed Imp, and the great thing about rushing Imp of Malins I didn't think about is that your upgrades are faster. So he got elite archers immediately, and he got poison arrows. So his archers are just slain. I get the H out of dodge. I do lose 1 relic here. And now I realize I just got to raid a lot to buy myself time. So instead of trying to rush Imp here, which I think would have killed me, I'm going to keep making units. The nice thing about Malin units is that even in their Imp form, they're not that strong. So your castle units can still kind of fight Malian Imperial units if you just keep massing. And I'm trusting that my eco is going to be better, so I keep adding farms, I keep getting my TC upgrades, I keep making units. And my goal is if I can get a bunch of farms on my TC and keep building my vills, eventually I can just kind of naturally hit Imp while still making units. So I'm not going to give up making units. I pull up my next relic, and I'm hoping he kind of pushes so I can get a good engagement with the buff. So key thing for those people who struggle playing Castle and Imperial, always get your walls up and then keep kind of building your walls farther and farther out and keep securing resources between fights. So between fights, you'll notice I'll go and secure another resource and try to wall again. Okay, so then I hit the buff here. Now look, so here, this knight got it. Now he's plus 12, which is crazy. Fighting. I chase him back in, and now I'm going to split my Annas off, and my goal is I just need to kill Vills. I need a delay. I need to keep buying time. I'm going to rush into his right now. His gold villagers are. I'm just trying to cause idle time. What sucks about this is that Malians are still getting passive resources this whole time, but it's something, right? I'm going to destroy his pit mine with my Annas, run up to destroy the pit mine up here. I save the relics again. I keep making more and more monks. And then once again, they're producing 25 gold every 60 seconds. This is when I once again realize, this is when I started to realize, oh, if I have automatic healing on, they're not applying the buff, the debuff. But they do apply the debuff, so for example, his Donzo is now only doing 5 damage. Now, still plus 14 against cavalry, but reducing it by 5 against non-cav units is really significant. And you might be, and I guess the big knock on this strategy is the issue of if it's a huge massive units, it doesn't go well. So it is really good against like HRE. I think it's really good against mass melee comps. So against mass range comps, it's not as great because it's hard to get to those ranged units and hit the get the debuff on them. But that's where the imp upgrade that makes your units faster to catch up to the range units is great. So against melee comps, your debuff's really good. Against range comps, the Wololo buff in imp is really good. So I think it can work both ways, but you'll use it differently depending on that. So against range comps, I would potentially just keep the healing on. Once again, not a great implementation by me. I'm still trying to figure out the micro to do this really well. But I just keep fighting, keep getting my upgrades, keep forcing him to spend resources, keep making him move his vills. I got my full tier keep up. And I am now adding more farms. This is what I mean where when you use the relics, back them up, because they're so slow in carrying the relics that they can chase you down. So I should have pre-backed these guys up. I'm going to send all my units in just to try to buy space to pick up the relics and get them back. I'm going to try to get one more off. And it doesn't work. I should just ran them back. Once again, I appreciate my opponent for never really taking the relics. Really nice of him. I keep wave after wave after wave. Just try to make it so he can't keep fighting me. Look at this. Musafati Gunner minus 20 when the debuff's applied. It's pretty crazy. Now, I don't exactly know the range that they can apply this debuff. It doesn't say, and it's hard to kind of tell. I assume it's the same space as the Buddhist temples get when you can upgrade them. So when we see the Buddhist temple, I think you can see then that's the range, which is actually a pretty significant range to can apply the debuff. Then I save the relics. He still can't quite push. I notice I'm getting a bunch of gold. So my next goal here is just to age up quick and drop a keep, because you can't drop a keep as Japan in castle. Great. I send my Annas in the back here. I'm just continuously raiding. I then rush my age up. And with the second my age up hits, I'm going to rush up a keep here so I can hold. I also have the Shogunate Castle, which is going to be a great defensive landmark for me. I also, keep building production, keep making units. Against this comp, he's doing mass Donzos and Musafati. Like, he's mixing everything. He has crossbows, he has hand cannoneers, he has javelin throwers, he has archers, he has Musafati, he has Donzos. So for me, what I basically do is I'll do mass samurai, max of horsemen, and then some mounted samurai. The idea being is that his Donzos will get slayed by my samurai. My samurai will be tanky enough to take on who's Musafati pretty well. And then the horseman will run past and get on his range. That's kind of the theory behind this fight here. I rush up the keep, which is pretty key. Boom. Now the keep's up. It's going to be a lot harder for him to push in. Okay, so here's where I'm actually researching. I researched the auto debuff first. I really should have researched knee hand first, which I didn't think about. But look at this. 25% shorter cooldown on the conversion. It improves nearby allied movement speed by 25%. So you're more likely to actually convert the opponent if they're within the Wololo. And second, the movement speed is huge for chasing down range comps. But now, you see how good that was defensively? I know I'm running this really fast, but you see how good that was defensively, where he has to fight my units here, which then makes sure more of my units get the buff. Now my knights are doing plus 13 damage. My Anna is doing plus 7. My samurai are doing plus 9. Like, this is crazy amount of extra damage, and they're just slicing through the enemy right now. This entire time, this buys me space to then burn down the rams with my Vils. Now he keeps sending waves in, and I'm definitely not using my monks amazingly. I should have just, once again, I think the micro here is send the monks with the relics back, and then send the rest just into the mass and let them debuff and die. Like, eat shots, debuff and die, because everything they debuff is massively helping my army fight. And once again, they actually debuff very quickly. And so one thing you might say is, well, you're wasting a lot of your population space on these monks, but it allows me to keep my eco going, it allows me to continuously send waves, and allows me to heal them, and allows me to debuff him, so they're fighting worse. So it's a trade-off if used correctly. Like, his elite Musafatis lose 6 damage, and I think the biggest thing is, like, hand cannoneers and knights, if you fight them, will just lose so much damage doing this. So we're going to speed through this fight again. Notice on the sides, what I do is I make sure to get stone walls up. I'm going to start getting trade going, and wherever I can, I'm going to start adding stone walls and then taking resources with keeps while we're fighting. So he's going to hard focus too much in the center. A big Imperial and late castle strategy is keep gaining space of walls and keeps and securing resources, so that if the game drags out, you're going to win because you just have resources. I'll wait for more units. But I haven't got the second. I can't believe I delayed this upgrade for so long. But look at this. So I am getting the auto debuff from my temples, right? Look how big this debuff range is in the Temple of Equality. Look how big this range is on the Buddhist temple. It's huge. Every 6 seconds, it applies to the closest enemy, which if you're fighting, that's actually a lot. And it lasts for 60 seconds. So this, and a way to think about it, if you're fighting this temple and your monks get the first wave, that means your Buddhist temple is getting the range units, and that means each one of these Musafati's gunners is doing only 20 damage, which is actually really big for gunners and for knights. Knights and gunners don't have extra damage against certain units, they just have broad lots of damage, so it's really good on them as well, theoretically. But a lot of them have the debuff now, and they're just not doing the same amount of damage. And so a big strat is running your villagers forward and dropping a Buddhist temple right where you think you're going to fight, and then letting it debuff. I think it's really good.
Stupid idiot for one for sorry, I have. They voted Danny on.
Oh my gosh! So my wife and my cousin are watching a show, and they can't believe the results of it right now. If you guys heard that, it's traders. If you like traders, they love traders. You should let me know if you have any opinions about the newest season of traders. Okay, I finally get the secondary debuff, and now this is where the fun's gonna start. Once again, strategy for Japan: if you can, just take stone. 1, you can build keeps with it. 2, you're getting gold as well, so great. He tries pushing again. And this is where it's gonna go down for real. Like, my units are gonna be so fast the second I hit this this Wololo. And what's gonna happen is, as I build up my resource count, I'll start deleting vills, which gives me more ability to have bigger army, which makes my tax better. Right now, I'm just building up my trade to get that gold amount pumping. And from the Tanegashima gunsmith, I think I said that incorrectly. My bad. Mass Ribaldequins is really good, this strategy, because it buffs their speed as well and their damage, so they just destroy units in front of them. It just wipes them, which you'll see soon. And then if that doesn't work, a lot of Ozatsu, which when they get the damage buff and the speed buff, now it's not attack speed, that'd be really broken, but just once again, being able to close distance with your melee comp is a pretty big deal. So right now I'm just playing super defensive. I keep forgetting I have like clumps of unit spaces, which is silly. But yeah, so one big thing you're going to see here in a second is my opponent does not like walling, which is really going to affect him here soon. Once again, my monks are just getting me 25 gold a second. My gold income is amazing. I see he's chasing my villas off stone. So now with that buff, is the buff still here? They're moving, my honor geisha are moving at 2.18. My samurai at 1.35. And now they're about to want, like, that makes them so fast. If you think about it, a horseman runs at 1.8. So when they hit the buff, your honors are running faster than a horseman. That's crazy. Your samurai are running almost as fast as a horse, as fast as a knight. Hit it again. So now your horsemen are running at 2.25. Let's see. Samurai 1.35. Where are my knights at? 2.56. My bannerman, do I have a knight in this pack here? My knights under the buff. Can I get a knight up in this in this itch? Your knights are doing plus 17. That's a wild amount of damage. So it's just really good if used correctly. Now I'm kind of being super aggressive with it. And once again, I'm gonna lose these relics, and it's like, shoot. But he won't pick them up, so I'll just go get him again in a second. And I forgot to send in my next wave. Whoops. Also, I'm just continuously sending horseman raids and honor raids around the backside of his base, because once again, he doesn't wall ever. Here comes his next push. One thing I do keep in mind is that I will have my monastery and my temple of equality as part of my full, grouping of production buildings. And so with that, I will always be queuing up monks as well as my normal units. So let's keep that in mind. Like, it's important to have your massive monks. I'll take another fight. You see right here, I rush up a temple of a Buddhist temple right near here, and it's just going to start debuffing. I'm telling you, it debuffs way faster than you anticipate. The Baldaquin's coming in. I'm like, I gotta get these relics back. This is like mission, get the relics back. I'm pushing, he's not stopping me. Ribaldequins are going burr. Ribaldequin gets sniped, doesn't matter. We do this kind of back and forth for a while. All his villagers are here, which is great for a guy like me. I'm gonna run in here and grab the relics. And here's the thing, this is a very common thing in Imp, where like you win a fight and then they remass and push you back. And what this is really coming down to is who's actually securing resources better. So I have been vacuuming the gold on the sides here, and I've been starting trade up. And so right now, my income per minute is not as good as his, but it will soon be when he runs out of gold to mine. Or I start destroying his pit mines as well, which also reduces his gold. And my income's just going to start to become a lot better than his, and he will struggle to maintain the same unit mass as me. My food's better, and of course I'm getting stone as well. Once again, little raids on the side here, distract him. I was like, I don't need these villagers anymore because I don't have any more gold to mine, so I'm just gonna have them burn down this pit mine, and I was gonna have them drop a keep over here, but I ran out of time, and I ran out of APM, honestly. This is what I mean where you cast the buff before you engage, and then you save the relics, for that exact reason. Still going. This is when I start to switch into Mass Azatsu. This is my last time really doing a lot of Rebaldaquins, and then I'll do Mass Azatsu. But this is truly Operation Get the Relics here. What my raids have done is that it has pulled his units to the side. So he has a group of units over here trying to push this keep. He has units over here defending the farms that he sometimes forgets about. And so he's not, see how he's split, like he wants to make rams to push the keep over here. So now I have the freedom to push forward. So like doing these little raids and setting up around the sides forces him to keep his army together, which allows you to do push opportunity. So I save the relics. I'm going to do another raid with Men at Arms and Annas. And now I'm chilling here. Yeah, it shows you now. So, oh, it shows that that's the bannerman, yeah. But so I think hypothetically, the monks have the range that the temples do for the debuff, which is a pretty big debuff range. So that's why you can even grab range units with it, I think. Once again, if you have healing on, they're going to prioritize healing, which they almost always will do because you will always have hurt units nearby, right? So he's pushing this way, he's pushing the other way. I push, and then boom, I hit. I thought that was a really good example of me hitting it correctly. I had all my units under, hit, and then pushed. My Rebaldaquins get +8, which I feel like they should get more, honestly, but whatever. And here's the thing, if you get the buff plus the katana buff, your units are really, really strong. So my samurai can easily run down a javelin. They're running 0.73, they're running 1.44. Your Annas, oh, my Anna didn't get it. Oh no. But this bannerman did. I can now really just run down his ranged and just have a good old time with it, you know? Then Merbalicans do their thing. I rush up a temple here once again to create the debuff. So whenever it's kind of like dropping a keep in a tower almost. Like run forward, drop a temple. If you run out of temples, delete a farther back one and keep moving up. I just did a really bad job of, I kept leaving units that I rallied earlier to a spot and forgetting to grab them. So use your all idle military key, folks. Had another Wololo. Did I catch one in here? I don't. But like also these Wololos just force him to be careful about engaging as well. So all these units under here are getting debuffed. We back up again. And now the big fight's about to happen. I deleted some villagers. I'm getting a way bigger army this time around. I have one relic to play with here, but that's all I'm gonna need, man. I still have my temple here, so if he rushes in, he gets debuffed. I finally got my full upgrades. So I finally got all my major upgrades, which I delayed for a little bit. I got my bannermen for everybody, and now it's time to duel. I'm at 91 military. He is at 70 military. So the numbers are definitely in my favor because I deleted a bunch of units. And now watch the magic happen, folks. This is where the magic happens. Perfect use of the boom. Boom. I get almost all of my infantry. I missed my cav. That's on me. But look at this. A buffed mounted samurai can move at 2.56 and has 29 plus 17 damage with all imp upgrades. That's crazy. A spearman has plus 13 damage and now moves at 1.88. A Zatsu has plus 6. Rebaldaquins split like it's pretty fun. And with the Rebaldaquins, with the Zatsu, with my fast and tanky and strong units, I tear them up. And it's game over. After this game, he did say AOE 4 late game is trash and low skill. And that's funny coming from a guy who doesn't make walls. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. I'm definitely going to be testing this more and more and more and see how good it is and see if it's legitimate. I think there's a lot of potential around it. I think it will definitely, I'm not saying it should replace the floating gate, but I think against certain matchups like OTD or HRE that likes to do a lot of melee, or even against like French and Jean, where the knights are a big part of it and debuffing the knights, I think it has legitimate potential. And even if you're doing against mass range comps, the ability to increase the movement speed of your units to chase down archers, I think, is a big deal as well. So try it, give it a shot, practice the little micro with the monks, and I think if your opponent's fighting against it and not expecting it, they will just be surprised with how well your army fights. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments or any feedback, and good luck on your games. Oh, please also subscribe and follow me on Twitch. And if you're interested in my coaching, check out my coaching Discord in the description below. Thank you.